Hey guys, Can of Soda, welcome back to a video. I'm with this dingus.
Or random fangirl #01.
Anyway, so since we enjoyed reading the My Immortal fanfic, we decided to read another fanfic. It's what Ashley recommended to me. Ashley, you can take the floor.
Okay, so this story, I've only read the first chapter so far. It's called Harry Potter Becomes a Communist, and as far as I can tell, he comes back to Hogwarts and he decides to spread his message of communism.
I don't own Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling does, but it should be owned by the stat because privacy property is evil, lol. Workers of the world, you're a knight. If you flam, you have false consciousness. Looks like she's all about against flaming like Tara was.
I don't even know who this author is, but apparently their name is Hardcore Commie, so I guess they're really into their communism.
Harry, you look different, said Hermione as I joined her and Ron in the compartment on the Hogwarts Express. I suppose I did. I was wearing a Ushanka with a red star, a Che Guevara t-shirt, and brown line glasses. Now, looks like this person has a thing for describing clothing too, like Tara.
Yeah.
Except Tara's description is more ambiguous and annoying.
Yeah, true.
I had grown a scruffy beard and had my scar changed from a lightning bolt to a hammer and sickle. Why are you wearing a shirt with that murder on it? Asked Hermione as I sat down. He's not a murderer, he's a soldier, I explained. I'd be offended, but I know you've been brainwashed by the Bulgari-side capitalist establishment. You're suffering from false consciousness. What's false consciousness? Asked Ron curiously. I knew he would be more open to communist ideas because he was part of the proletariat. Whereas Hermione was part of the bourgeois intelligentsia. If I pronounced it wrong, I apologize. False consciousness is when people think communism is bad, I explained. Since communism is good, it means you're obviously insane. Harry, are you a communist? Asked Hermione in a quiet voice. I could tell she was scared, probably of losing her private property. As a matter of fact, I am, I said, knowing I had nothing to be ashamed of. Uncle Vernon was complaining about communists one day, and I decided that anyone hated by Uncle Vernon couldn't be that bad. So I read the Communist Manifesto and discovered how the world really worked. But, said Hermione at a loss of words, President Reagan said the Soviet Union was the evil empire. He wouldn't have said that if it weren't true. I signed, wondering if Hermione was too deep in false consciousness to ever come around the correct way of thinking. Alright, that's not too bad actually. At least it's better than the other monstrosity we read. Woof.
Yeah. So I'll explain some things because I did learn a bit about communism as like a theory. So the bourgeoisie, I don't even know if that's how you pronounce it, but they're like the upper class people who take the work of the laborers, which would be the proletariat. So Harry in this fic is saying that Ron is like more of a laborer and Hermione is more upper class. So therefore she would be afraid of losing her private property because she benefits off the work of other people basically. And false consciousness is a thing, but I think I don't remember it that much, but I think the author is oversimplifying it here. Alright. Chapter 2, Freedom of Speech. Author's note. Here's Chapter 2. Anyone who flames has false consciousness. Everyone stared at me as I entered the entrance hall, which was the entrance to Hogwarts. I guessed most people in the wizarding world didn't know about communism, because they just seemed to think I looked weird. That was good. I'd be able to talk to them about communism without having to break through the revulsion conditioned into so many people by Western media. Suddenly, Professor McGonagall approached me. Now that I knew about communism, I could see that her face had the smug, satisfied look of bourgeoisie elitism. You are not permitted to wear that shirt, she said oppressively. Che Guevara was an evil murderer or something. How fucking dare you, I yelled outrageously. I fucking have fucking freedom of fucking speech.
This is America, but okay, go off.
Mr. Potter, that kind of language is not allowed in school, McGonagall said capitalistly. Neither is the image of Che Guevara, the hammer and sickle, or other symbols of hate. The fucking hammer and the fucking sickle are not fucking symbols of fucking hate, I explained. They fucking are fucking symbols of fucking
That's a
peace.
lot of F-bombs.
I know. Fucking anti-communism fucking led to fucking imperialist and fucking racist wars in fucking Korea and fucking Vietnam. You're a fucking racist. Then I put up my middle finger at her and ran into the great hall before she could stop me. I couldn't believe racist Professor McGonagall had tried to repress me. It was like Kent State all over.
Oh my god. Wow.
There's some similarities here in My Immortal, just like a lot of swearing, the middle finger.
Yes. Yeah, I can tell. I can definitely tell.
I don't think Tara ever implied anybody was racist in the story, though, so this is funny.
Yeah. Author's note. Hadrian Malfoy, what? Harry did not overreact. McGonagall. Looks like this person also has a thing for misspelling as well, but not as much as Tara.
It seems just in the author's note too. It's kind of weird.
McGonagall was trying to take away Harry's fucking basic right of freedom of speech. I think you might be suffering from false consciousness. I instantly saw the Great Hall had changed a great deal over summer. The walls were now covered with gigantic flashy advertisements. Everywhere, the glossy and fake images showed the smiling faces of people thrilled to own consumer products made by starving children in Japan. They're not wrong though. Thoroughly disgusted by these symbols of bourgeois excess, I tried to avoid looking at them as I walked to my seat. As Dumbledore began to walk up to the podium, I saw that he was dressed exactly like the little Monopoly man, complete with a top hat. "Hello, my students," he said, stretching out his arms. "As you probably noticed, Hogwarts looks a bit different this year. That's because the Ministry of Magic has been saying so much on wars against Voldemort that there's no money left over for Hogwarts. Therefore, I decided it'd be a good idea to privatize the educational system. I don't see any problem with this because I'm a libertarian." I gasped. Looks like this person was saying for gasping as well as Anobi always did. I had never known Dumbledore was a libertarian. Libertarians have the gall to say they loved freedom while being nothing to corporate shills, working tirelessly to make us all slaves to the big capitalists. All the respect I've ever had for Dumbledore disappeared in an instant. "This year," said Dumbledore, his face shining with corporate greed, "Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry is brought to you by the Bertie Bott's Candy Corporation. Bertie Bott's every flavor beans. They're a risk with every mouthful. And by the Nimbus Racing Broom Company. Why walk when you can fly with the Nimbus Racing Broom Company? Additional funding is provided by the Glad Rags Wizardwear Group, Wiz Hard Books, and Coca-Cola." My mouth was hanging open. I couldn't believe the extent to which Dumbledore had sold us all to the capitalists for a buck. If I were in his place, I'd close Hogwarts and be returning it over to evil corporate sponsors. "And now," Dumbledore continued, "allow me to introduce our new defense against the dark arts teacher, Professor what the hell? Halliburton Pepsi." A man in an expensive suit with a briefcase set for him. He was obviously a member of the arch-capitalist bourgeois elite. "Thank you for that introduction, Alvis, Professor Pepsi." Oh my god, I said corporately. Corporately! "By the way, I want your office." "Oh, no problem, Hal," said Dumbledore, laughing. Professor Pepsi grinned and I felt sick as I realized that corporate will be the real boss at Hogwarts from now on.
This is actually good.
Professor Pepsi. Wow.
They put their own OC that it's not even that cringy in comparison to Tara's.
Yeah.
This looks funny. Okay. Author's note. "If you flam, you're a useful tool of the big capitalist pigs on Whale Street."
Well, Strut.
The feast began and we started to eat the food and shit. I thought of how the house hells were completely happy with their lot in life and realized that they too had been inflicted with false consciousness. Hermione had railed against house elf slavery, but it accomplished nothing because she hadn't realized that it was just one small part of the larger capitalist system of bourgeoisie capitalist exploitation. "It's a good thing Hogwarts isn't funded by the government anymore," said Hermione with an air of bourgeoisie intellectual elitism. "Now the education system won't be like the post office." "You fucking idiot," I yelled righteously. "Dumbledore has turned us all over to the fucking capitalists. We're their fucking corporate slaves now." "Swearing like that is really unnecessary and comes across as immature," said Hermione oppressively.
Wow, that is actually really in character for Hermione. I feel like shit that she'd actually say that.
Yeah. She actually probably would.
Yeah.
I don't know about her political beliefs, but it's interesting that they mentioned her, like, stance on the house elf thing and how apparently she doesn't realize that there's a bigger problem. This person cares about Harry Potter, but I don't know why they're making it all about communism. How fucking dare you, I yelled. You say I can't speak my fucking mind after you defend the fucking actions of the fucking war criminal Dumbledore. I suppose you believe the fucking propaganda we're fed about how we're fighting a humanitarian war. Well, aren't we? Asked Hermione. Voldemort is bad. I know it's true because that's what the media says.
Yeah, believe everything you hear on the internet, kids. Especially when it says Ashley likes to dab.
Wow, this author is speaking facts.
That's
There is no such thing as a humanitarian war, I said as I laughed in her face. The ministry doesn't give a fuck about human rights. War is a product of the military-industrial complex. I don't think that's true, said Hermione from her ivory bourgeoisie tower of capitalism. It's the ministry's duty to kill people who kill people because killing people is wrong. At this point, I was so mad at Hermione's bourgeoisie, closed-minded false consciousness that I couldn't say anything. If only she could hear herself and realize what a slave she was to the capitalist imperialists, but seems she couldn't. It was so frustrating.
I'll be honest, it's actually not as funny as My Mortal, but still really interesting.
I mean, yeah, they're really trying. It's interesting for sure.
Authors, see, he continues with the misspellings. Authors note, how dare you call me a liberal. Liberals are freaking sellouts to the corporate master class. I'm a communist. I'm not any part of your little system. I'm against it. Comrade Che was not a racist. That was taken out of context. Oh, and if you had my parents, you'd be rebelling against them too. My anger would fade later. As we started to get up from the feast in order to head upstairs to our upstairs dormitories, Luna Lovegood came over to me. She was quite a hottie, but I was too sophisticated to pay attention to her shapely body. Oh my god. That's weird. I overheard the conversation with Hermione, said Luna in a beautifully feminine voice. I think what you had to say made a lot of sense, but got even better later that night. As we arrived in our dormitory room, Ron turned to look at me, his face alight with hope and curiosity. I agree with every word he said to Hermione at dinner, he said rebelliously. I always wondered why his war on Voldemort seemed like nothing but an excuse to make the rich richer and the poor poorer. Now I see that's exactly what it is. You must tell me more about this communism you speak of. Ooh, looks like Ron's getting interested. No wonder his hair is red.
Oh my god.
I smiled wisely and slapped Ron on the back. You're beginning your journey, comrade, I told him. Comrade? Asked Ron. Why are you calling me that? That's what communists call each other, I exclaimed. I explained, under capitalism, the richest 1% are frickin' bastards who exploit 99% of the people. Communism thinks that's wrong. Why should your family starve while the richest pure-blood frickheads are literally swimming in their frickin' gold? That's enough resources for everyone, and we should all get an equal share of the pie. That's why communists call each other comrade, to show that we are all equal. What's communism's position on racism? Asked Dean Thomas. Ooh, it's against it, I explained. Racism is caused by capitalism. Ever since the war on Voldemort started, the military's been sending young black men to die off for a society which hates them. Could it be any more obvious that the real enemy is not Voldemort, but the fucking bourgeois, capitalist 1%? I don't know, said Neville, uncertainty. If that were true, I think we have heard something about before. I laughed at his voice as fucking incredible, naivete. That's because the freaking capitalists don't want to hear it, I told him, laughing loudly. If you embrace communism, that's a threat to their freaking bourgeoisie power. They want us all to go off and kill Death Eaters to keep us distracted from the inequalities of our freaking corporate sellout society. Silence followed these words. I could tell I had turned their brainwashed view of the world upside down. Had I made them see the light? Eventually, Seamus Finnegan stood up. I am a communist, he said. There was tense silence and then Neville stood up. Me too, he said proudly. I beamed at Neville. Finally, he achieved a success he had never been able to under the bourgeoisie corporate system of capitalism. Me three, declared Ron, as I knew he would. He was part of the proletariat and I awakened him from the false consciousness. Me four, finished Dean. His embrace of communism was the least surprising as he truly had nothing else to lose but his chains. Not only was he part of the proletariat, but he was racially oppressed because of his skin color. Like all wars, the bourgeoisie imperialist war on Voldemort had been been built on fear of the other, and black people like Dean had suffered from it. I smiled at my 4 new comrades. I knew there would be more of us soon. Together, we would bring down Dumbledore's bourgeoisie capitalist machine and achieve freedom for the frickin' proletariat through violent means if necessary. Okay, that is so interesting.
Chapter 6, Harry takes a stand for the people. Author's not. I'm not intelligent enough to be a liberal. I see intelligence is measured by your willingness to suck on the bourgeoisie corporate cock of fucking Wall Street. I hope you enjoy your fucking false consciousness when they send you off to Syria to die for a fucking whale. Oh my god. Why? Oh my god.
Remember when Trump almost caused World War III earlier this year in the Middle East? That was wild. Yeah.
Why are their author's notes like kind of a bit worse than the story? It's kind of weird.
That's like Tara and Raven. You know, like her first few chapters that were edited by Raven. Anyway.
Hey, we went to Defense Against the Dark Arts, which was taught by Professor Pepsi. He walked into the room wearing a suit so expensive it could feed 10 gazillion families in Africa, and bourgeoisie set his evil corporate briefcase down on his fucking desk. Today, we'll learn about how war is sometimes necessary, he lied capitalistly. That's what I'll be teaching you, how to slaughter all the evil barbarians who want to destroy freedom and democracy.
I love how he's using stuff like capitalism and bourgeoisie, like how Tara uses sexually and seductively.
Yeah, I mean, you can really see this author's priorities. The only weird part so far has been the way he described Luna.
I'm sure the guy has read My Immortal before. I felt so convinced.
Maybe, and that's why he felt confident enough to write. You fucking liar, I yelled at him. War is never necessary, with only one exception. That's revolution. As Vladimir Lenin once said, revolution is the only lawful, rightful, just, and truly great war. Oh, you silly boy, said Professor Pepsi, shaking his head. Vladimir Lenin was a communist. I'm sure it will shock you that you have been hoodwinked by the evil communist subversives. On the contrary, I am a communist, I yelled. I stood up and threw open my coat to reveal my Che Guevara t-shirt. Then I threw my head back to make my bangs move over in order to reveal the Hummer and sickle on my forehead. I then laughed at fucking Professor Pepsi as he almost fell backwards. He was so shocked that someone would actually admit to being a communist. Deep down, evil corporate bastards like him were afraid of the people rising up against their bourgeoisie corporate tyranny, and that's why they used Western media to make everyone think communists were evil. But I'd seen through their lies, and I wasn't afraid to stand up for the fucking proletariat.
Oh, that is insane. It's like when he revealed himself, it's like Superman vibes. When he rips off his shirt, he reveals his logo.
But it's just his it's just his scar looking like the communist logo.
Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I was wild. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.